right, let's do it, man. So, what do you want to talk about?
I would love to talk about business plans
Okay.
because, Darwin, you and I, we spend quite a bit of time trying to figure out what we can do to help agents. And so I'm going to jump back to business plans. And the reason is because we offer a lot of training.
Yep.
Whatever it is they could possibly want. In fact, I've heard it said that how do I decide which is the one I ought to do?
Right.
Because there's so much training. So my thought process is last fall we sat down and people started to design their vision boards. And in the process of putting their vision boards together, I think a missing component. And that is that either I really didn't believe it. And again, I'm just going to use myself. Okay?
Sure.
First time I did a vision board, I was clueless.
Yeah.
Just pie in the sky and everything else. In fact, admittedly, the second time I did a vision board, okay?
Yeah.
I'm just being honest here, all right? Well, it wasn't until the third time that I realized if I'm actually going to accomplish what I envision, that I have to have a plan.
You mean if I just have some dream and goal, I don't have a plan to get there, it ain't gonna happen?
Well, yeah. I mean, and again, being a military guy,
Yeah.
No plan is a plan to fail.
Mm-hmm.
But yet it took me 2 times of doing something before I understood that if I'm going to have that vision, I got to have a plan. And so I really have started to think about this more as we continue to make more offerings of training and everything else. And always the number one question is, again, what do I get trained on?
Right.
Pick one. Anyone. It's the analogy I gave at Ignite was, how do you decide what you're going to wear every day?
Right.
You got more than one pair of socks, you got more than one shirt, right?
Right.
So how do you decide? You pick one.
Right.
So with that in mind, there's a couple of other components that I think need to be a part of a business plan. And without them, I don't think anyone can truly be successful. And that first one is accountability.
Agent's favorite word, right?
And it's funny because Darwin always says, well, if you were the CEO, which you are, of your own business, and you're not performing well, what are you going to do?
It's a great impression, by the way. It was spot on.
And the answer is simple. Well, yeah, I'd fire myself.
Yeah.
Because I'm not holding myself accountable. And so how do I do that? Well, I come into the office.
Right.
Okay? I loved going to the office in Fenton, which was my selling office, and I loved doing floor time. I could do $1 million in business year after year after year just because I did floor time. But where I really, truly benefited was all the conversations that took place around me all day long. So I was always learning. And that's because I was in the office.
Right.
The market's changed. It isn't what it used to be, okay? Yeah. But yet there's still opportunities. So the real question is, why did you get into the business?
Yeah. It's a great question you got to ask yourself. Most people, it's, because I want to make money, right? I want freedom and flexibility. I want to work my own schedule, which your first couple of years in the business, you don't have that luxury to work your own schedule, right? No. You got to get things up and running. So you got to work even more than you would if you were at a 9 to 5. But I think a lot of agents, this is an interesting question for you to answer. Do you think it's a lack of understanding of what's really necessary, or do you think it's just laziness?
Ooh. I'd hate to use that word.
I'll use it. So lack of motivation.
Lack of motivation, yes. And again, that comes back to where the accountability partner comes into play. And again, sadly, as much as your family can be behind you and be a cheerleader and rah, rah, rah and everything else, you got to get rid of the distractions.
Yeah.
I teach pre-license. I just started a class last week. And what they hear from me over and over and over, in order to be successful in passing their test, in addition to being successful in real estate, is you got to get rid of the distractions. Because if you don't, you will always have an excuse for not doing it.
Absolutely. So how would you go about getting rid of a distraction, whether it's a friend, family member, spouse, or something that is just, are you sure you want to do this? This is a great idea. I mean, you're not getting paid every month. So like, are you sure this is a good idea? How would you go about adjusting that?
Plain and simple.
Yeah.
If they don't support your cause, get rid of them. Because if you have to go home every day and you have to face, let's admit it, who's the worst person that we can speak to about our shortcomings? It's the person in the mirror, right?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, there's a great book about looking in the mirror because we tear ourselves apart each and every day. Now, some people are into affirmations and all this other feel-good stuff,
Yeah.
Jonathan Seagull, and, oh my goodness gracious.
Right.
Your accountability partner is that person. What did you say you were going to do, and did you do it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's that simple.
And if you didn't do it, why didn't you do it?
Yeah.
And it's not as easy as, well, this happened, this happened, this happened. Why? Why did you not remove the distraction?
Don't let them off the hook, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Until we make it a habit, it's not going to change. And again, statistically speaking, I'm a numbers guy.
Of course.
The fact that it's proven over time that it takes 21 days to have a routine. It only takes 2 days to destroy the routine.
Yeah, I know, right?
I mean,
yeah.
Does that make sense to
It's
anybody?
crazy. It's crazy.
So if I want to be successful in this business, first thing I got to do is I got to find that accountability partner. And I'm not going to find it at home.
No.
I'm not going to find it in my kids. I'm not going to find it. Well, my wife is my rah-rah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But the reality is I got to go to the office and I got to find my accountability partner. Then I need to truly look at my vision board from the fall and what is it going to take? Maybe it's as simple as doing the goal projector.
Yeah.
How many calls do I have to make every single day in order to achieve what I want? And if I'm not going to call people, because I don't like to talk to FSBOs.
Right.
I don't like to, again, School of Hard Knocks taught me so much just looking at agents. It absolutely amazed me that they were more willing to call FSBOs and expireds, yet when we did listing schools, they didn't want to call FSBOs
Right.
or expireds. But during that class, and again, the success of both those classes that were just staggering to beat all.
Oh, yeah.
It was harder for them to actually call their sphere than it was to call the FSBOs and the expireds.
Isn't that funny?
Yes, that just blows my mind every time I think about it because I love to harass my sphere.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's just me. That's my personality. And if I don't, then they think I'm wrong. But, our sphere is such a great resource. And for some reason, you feel like you're nagging them. I've never felt like I've been nagging people.
No.
They know what I do. They know who I am. And if I can help them, that's okay. I'm not going to be that guy that, they went with another realtor and, left me cold.
Well, I think a lot of people feel like they're nagging someone because they're not confident in the value that they have to offer.
Ooh, value proposition.
Right? Because if you're not confident in your value that you have to offer to people, why would you feel confident offering it out to them and contacting them? Because you don't even yourself feel that what you do is valuable.
That's priceless.
Yeah.
You could write a book with some of that stuff. So the weather's changing. The opportunity to knock on doors. Because I'll admit it, I do better at knocking on doors because I like to body interaction and everything else with folks.
Yeah.
But what I do all day, all week, every month, and on and on and on is social media.
Oh, yeah. I see it.
And it's easy, yet people say, well, I don't know what to post. I don't know how often should I post? Because I'm a numbers guy, yes, I'm looking at the back end and all that Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn can do for you. But it amazes me that agents won't even set up a Twitter account, connect it to core listing, and be done.
Yeah.
They don't have to be a Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
A LinkedIn account. I can attribute 5 sales to my LinkedIn account. I don't really post anything to it. I let core listing do my work.
Mm.
From an SEO standpoint, it's priceless.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you have Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I started out, again, didn't know any better, didn't know any worse, right? I went to Realtor.com and I started reading a blog and I videotaped it. You know, and I attributed the article to whoever wrote it and whatnot. But hey, you know, it came across this interesting article I thought I would share with you today. And I just read it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It didn't hurt.
Yeah.
Okay. And it started my YouTube channel. It also gave me opportunity to share it to my Facebook and to my other accounts. But what's really priceless when you think about it is we all have brand new websites.
Mm.
And somehow magically, in the digital world where we know that 81% of buyers have gone to find their home, we think they're going to come across our website, even though I don't do nothing.
Right. You don't do anything with it.
Wow, that's really crazy. Part of what I've done in February and continue to do in March is show them how to do backlinks to their website. What's a backlink? It's simply taking something from another platform and directing it back to your website. It's priceless. Why? Because each time that link is clicked, I don't care if it's on Facebook, I don't care if it's on Instagram, whatever it may be, when it goes backwards, my page is re-indexed. So just like everybody else, okay, we all built our websites about the same time. Some of us a little bit slower than others, okay? Well, the cool thing is on page 1 now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yep, the old website's still up there at the top. Still, my new website is still on page 1.
Wow.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And how did that happen? That happened with backlinks.
Interesting.
So here it is. Social media is as easy as connecting core listing. It will take care of Facebook for you. It'll take care of Instagram. It'll take care of Twitter and LinkedIn. Okay? And again, Twitter and LinkedIn is only about SEO, search engine optimization, because it's free.
Yeah.
So I'm a big proponent of it. Facebook, hashtags still work.
They work incredibly well. I use them all the time.
You know, hashtag, we're in Clarkston, so hashtag Clarkston, hashtag Waterford.
Yeah.
You know, and how hard is that to add to my post? It isn't.
It isn't. It isn't. But with everything else like we're talking about, it requires implementation, execution, right?
Oh, man. You mean I got to remember to do it?
Yeah. Not only remember, but then you actually got to do it, right?
My family made it a joke when we'd go to a restaurant or we'd go to the park or whatever it was. Okay, nobody get out of the car yet. Bob's or Dad's got to check in, you know. And that was the joke.
Yeah.
Because, Dad's got to check in because I want to tie myself to the community.
Yeah.
And the only way I can do that is by checking in when I go to the restaurant. So do I consider where I go to eat? Yes.
Of course.
Do I consider where I go buy a cup of coffee even though I don't do that? Doesn't mean I don't stop at Starbucks and check in.
Right.
Doesn't mean I don't go to Big B Coffee and check in.
Right.
Doesn't mean I show up for Friday night under the lights and check in at the high school. It's free, man.
Yeah. It's free and it's out there.
All you got to do is show up.
With everything that we've talked about, though, I know it's a lot easier for agents to keep everything, ambiguous as possible and vague, so that way they can't tell whether or not they're failing or succeeding. But at the end of the day, if you want to succeed, you have to have structure, you have to have goals, you have to have numbers in line. Otherwise, you have no idea whether or not you're failing or succeeding.
Yes. Moxie Engage actually has the opportunity to assist them with that.
There you go.
When they log into Moxie Engage the first time, and it has them identify what is their GCI goal for the year.
Mm-hmm.
And each time they come in, they can actually know if they're on track or not. How awesome is that?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's an accountability partner, but it's a silent partner.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
And if it's not echoing in my ear or in my head, I mean, my mom and dad have been gone for years. I still hear them in the back of my head oftentimes. I hold the door,
Yeah.
you know. Why? Because that's what I was taught.
Yeah, it's how you're raised.
My wife, I hold the door. Why? Because that's what I was taught.
Hmm.
So there's some habits just because of my training I don't break. But yeah, it could get very easy to simply do nothing and wait for something to happen. Well, then I'll go take a class and I know a little bit more, but I don't actually implement anything that I learned. So if I don't implement what I learned or I don't practice what I learned,
It's a waste.
Yep.
It's an absolute waste. And so I love that too, because silent partner does great, because I have agents, we're doing our monthly reviews for numbers for the February. I do it every single month. So it's like, this is what your goal was. This is what you actually did. So it's right in their face. If you came up short in contacts, if you came up short in your appointments, if you came up short in contracts, it's all right there. But to your point, Moxie, engaging all that stuff, I know you do classes like every single week. So why don't you tell everybody where to find it, where they sign up, what your class schedule looks like coming up? Like, where can I find out about this stuff?
each and every Monday, I send out I schedule an email to go out to
Okay.
all the agents, so that the first 3 weeks I focus on training. The fourth week, I'm figuring out what I'm going to do next month.
Okay.
Okay, so Monday is always about Moxie Present.
Okay.
Always. Okay. And what I'm doing now is I'm trying to ask people that are participating in the class, what would you like to know?
Mm.
What would you like to learn?
Yeah.
If you just want the basics, we can do that. But I always throw in a little bit of salt and pepper with it because I like seasoning.
Sure. Yeah. Right.
And those always happen at 1 and 3.
Okay.
Okay, consistently. Moxie engages on Tuesday. Again, it's going to be at 1 and 3. Same thought process. How do I modify an email? How do I add my contacts? How do I assign campaigns? Neighborhood news, oh my goodness.
Yeah, you were telling me about that. That's crazy.
Neighborhood news is still my fave, bar none. The open rate, the click-through rate, and I farm absentee owners.
Yeah. Yep.
With neighborhood news. So it's not just active folks that I'm looking for. I'm looking for those absentee owners too to capitalize. And then, of course, Thursday is Moxie websites. The ability to tune them. My page is probably overdone, okay? Because every single page is a custom page.
Mm-hmm.
Every single link is going this way, it's going that way. There's a lot of offerings. And the agents that have taken the time to invest in their websites, they send me emails and such saying, I got business because of my website.
Imagine that.
And they know that they got it because of their website.
Yeah.
Okay? And again, we go through the process when we first do it, and we set up a personalized website. Well, the truth is, it's still cookie cutter.
Yeah.
Okay? Yep. You get to have your own bio and everything else, but reality is they still pretty much look the same.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one gal out of the Rochester office. She's only 84 years old, okay? And she actually sent out an email recently about her success from her website. And here, I sat with her a couple of times, and it was funny because she knew what she wanted. And even though I tried to bring her into the next century, no, she was good where she was.
Yeah.
And I loved that because she did know what she wanted. She knew what her audience was.
Mm.
And so when she got her listing, the first one, because she's gotten more than one from her website, when she got her first one, the guy told her that he had done some research and he'd come across some other agents, but none of those agents had a website like hers.
Mm.
And that's a testimony that stands the time. I
Absolutely.
Mean, and again, she's only 84 years old. So
Yeah, right.
for those that say, well, I'm not too techie, you know what? You don't have to be.
Yeah. It's just an excuse. It's an excuse.
Another excuse.
Yeah,
Comes back to that accountability partner.
absolutely.
Um,
We've covered a bunch, and I know you got Tech Tuesday in about 30 minutes. So I want to give you time to prep for that. But anything else you wanted to share with anyone that's listening?
Bottom line is, we're here.
We're here. We're here.
You know, whatever you need. If we're not offering the right courses,
Let us know.
let us know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because our goal is we want to see them succeed.
That's it. That's it. We're dedicated. So if you guys are dedicated, you're motivated, you want the next step, we have tons of people here, Bob, myself, Darwin, everyone else. We're dedicated to it. So just let us know. And thanks, man, for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Sounds
man.
good.